Before the Second World War, the world already operated within a recognizable balance of power. A limited group of nations concentrated economic strength, industrial capacity, financial influence, and military force. Empires such as the United Kingdom and France, industrial powers like Germany and Japan, and emerging actors such as the United States competed within an international system built on fragile equilibria and unresolved rivalries. The stability of that era was not natural. It was sustained by an order already approaching its limits. The Second World War was not simply a military conflict. It was a historical rupture. When it ended, some powers preserved or expanded their status, while others collapsed permanently. Germany was defeated and divided. Japan lost its autonomy as a military power. The United Kingdom and France, though victorious, emerged economically weakened and increasingly dependent. In contrast, the United States rose as the dominant economic, financial, and military force, while the Soviet Union consolidated itself as a rival pole. A new global order was born. The post-war world was carefully engineered. Financial institutions, monetary systems, military alliances, and multilateral organizations were created to ensure predictability and control. The US dollar became the backbone of global finance. NATO provided a security framework. Economic growth unfolded within regulated boundaries, and crises were treated as manageable exceptions. This system functioned for decades, not because it was fair, but because it served the interests of those who designed it. Over time, new powers began to emerge. China underwent deep internal transformation and rose from the periphery. Germany and Japan rebuilt themselves as industrial and technological powers, though under strategic constraints. The Soviet Union eventually collapsed, opening a brief period of near uncontested American dominance. Many believed history had reached a final stage. That belief proved illusory. What we see today is not a sudden collapse, but the gradual exhaustion of an order that has lost strategic relevance. Structures designed for a bipolar world no longer function effectively in a multipolar, interconnected, and competitive environment. When systems stop serving power, they are not destroyed overnight. They are redesigned quietly, without announcement. This new phase represents another historical turning point. The world is in a state of sustained tension. Direct wars return to strategic regions. Proxy wars spread across peripheral zones. Trade conflicts replace conventional battles. Sanctions become weapons. Supply chains are reorganized. Inflation and financial instability assume roles once played by military occupation. Modern wars are no longer about decisive victory or territorial conquest. They function as mechanisms of attrition and repositioning. Prolonged conflicts weaken economies, drain resources, and test political resilience. When currencies lose value, debts become unsustainable, and confidence erodes. Power migrates often unnoticed. The United States seeks to preserve influence by redesigning strategy rather than abandoning the system it created. Europe faces a gradual loss of economic and geopolitical centrality. China consolidates itself as a structural power, expanding economic and technological reach. Russia attempts to reconfigure strategic space through confrontation. Regional powers gain relevance, while others struggle to maintain positions they can no longer sustain. Most societies recognize these shifts only when daily life becomes harder. Rising costs, instability, and declining expectations are not isolated events. They are signals of systemic transition. The battlefield now includes finance, energy, technology, information, and perception. Control is no longer enforced by presence alone. but through continuous pressure. Global power, once centralized, is increasingly fragmented. Fragmentation does not mean weakness, it means complexity, and complex systems are harder to understand, harder to challenge, and harder to reverse. While public attention remains fixed on headlines and crises, new power arrangements form in silence through agreements, investments, and long-term planning. The new world will not be announced. It will be normalized. This is not a prediction of the future. It is an observation of the present. Understanding transitions is not alarmism or ideology. It is awareness. History shows that those who endure are not always the strongest, but those who understand change early and adapt. And adaptation remains the true source of survival and power.